Cinematic U, actually. But yeah, I agree. How's everybody doing today? Lovely artistic conversation on the server that you missed out on if you're not part of the server. Just saying. Alright. So, we got some Rust to do. I'm dealing with this psychotic programming language. There's just two things that I have to do for my functions that I wrote yesterday. And those are related to mod RS and lib RS. Well, I assume this is not the case because look at this mod RS file, there's nothing in here. Oh. Never mind, I'm thinking of a different mod RS. Here we go. So these are all functions. I've already written the one new one in here, I think, but these are vars. Aha! So I would put them in here. These are the functions. Alright, so we are going to find our lovely function here. We're looking at AI train unit. So we are popping this back over here. The glare since I took down my curtains is real fucking annoying. Hopefully that goes away. Oh, in case you don't know, Icor, that's Dark Medicine. His YouTube name is Psychotic. And yes, Rusty time. So I'm looking for... This is a worker AI. What are my hooks again? I forget what void was listed as. So yesterday I wrote a hook for a function AI train unit. And I also wrote another hook for set build HP gain. Principled Yo-Yo, what's up, V? How you been? Alright, and then I'm looking at set build HP gain. I guess I have to do this as well. And then I have to tell it what it returns. In this case, I think both of these return a 32. And I think I'm good. So these two functions that I'm right now, I'm writing references to them in the whack hooks section. I don't actually know if this is all I need to write. And this is what it's called in my hooks.rs file, but I don't know if it's going to load from that, so that'll be something. But I'm just following the syntax of everything else right now, because I'm still learning the syntax of Rust, so I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting, pretty much. The point of putting in changes to, like, basically taking the functions from the raw machine code and then translating them into pseudocode so you know what the function does, and then translating them into Rust so that your plugin knows what the function does, is that you can then modify the functionality of what that function does. You can fix a bug that Blizzard had, or you can update it in some other way to add some functionality to it. So that is the main goal here, is for me to eventually learn how to write all of the... I've written a lot of assembly into pseudocode, so my next step is to learn how to write all that assembly into Rust code, or C++ code in the case of me hooking something in GPTP, which I haven't experimented with. And then after that, myself or iQuare or whoever will be able to go in and take it all apart, add some functionality to it, and then thus be able to use new features. Like, for example, there's one case, which might actually be a good next hook to make, actually. But if we look at Terran Advanced, or Terran Basic, this is a very simple function, even though it seems rather long at face value if you've never looked at assembly. This is... it's just calling check unit dat requirements a lot. And it's cross-referencing whether or not the player has access to certain unit IDs. And what this is basically doing is like this is 106 in DC decimal unit ID for check unit dat requirements. This is literally saying, you know, if the player doesn't have access to the command center, the supply depot, the refinery, etc., so on and so forth, then just remove the button from the SCV, so you don't have the Terran Basic button. This means if you don't have at least one of the original building unit IDs enabled for that player, then it won't even show up as a button. And so you can kind of get around this by making it so that the units, like the button for a command center is on the command card, or rather the button, you can get around it by making it so that the command center is enabled for that player, even if they don't have a button to make it, I'm pretty sure. But unfortunately, it's still really asinine. That means if you were making a large-scale total conversion where none of the original unit IDs were used, the buttons just wouldn't appear. And that is obviously psychotic. So if we were to translate this function, we would have the original code of the game reverse-engineered into Rust, like you said. And then we could fix that or change that functionality to... Like, maybe we could fetch all of the structures that are in a certain class. Like, we could define a class of structure to be basic elsewhere in the program. And it would still be hard-coded in the sense that you'd have to modify the program. Maybe you could add that as a config option instead or something, so that it could be modified on an end-user level through a text file or something instead of having to do it in the plugin itself. But you could create a class of structure, and it would basically be like turning a flag on for that structure in unit stat or something like that. It would be similar in essence, and then cross-reference that and say, can the player build at least one structure from the basic class? And if not, remove the button. So, that is obviously a very silly thing to have to do, but that is what we have to do, at least right now. So, I'm going to set myself up here with a couple of functions to translate. I think... well, first I'll take a look at... there was something else that I have to do. I think in librs I have to reference these or something. Must be initialized in librs. So it looks like these are all the different hooks that have been initialized here. A lot of commented code, as you can see. Alright. And so here I can just do something to the effect of like... Well, I think I'll just come over here because this is where most of this stuff is here. We'll do exe hook opt. Oh, the problem is I have no idea how to... or what specifically I'm supposed to be doing here. Like, are these hook names? Let's take a look. Oh, AI script is the Rust file. So we're going to be taking the brood war function in whack funcs. So in this case, it's AI train unit. So in that sense, okay. AI train unit, and we'll say hooks AI train unit. Oh, it's AI train unit. Yeah, I think my formatting should be more consistent, so we'll change this to that. Yes. Even then, my hooking turn basic. I'm going to do that at some point. I was thinking of hooking something else, an AI-related function. So I just wanted to know: does this is this the right syntax for replacing this sort of thing? Because it looks like we're referencing the original function, which in modrs is listed as AI train unit. And then after that, we're referencing Rust file, 2 colons, and then the Rust function name, or the function name that's defined here. You mean the whack funk? Alright, so now we can do the same thing for... Let me just make sure that that's... I might not even have this listed in here, actually. Oh, it's... Aha. Hooks.edi. And then that means I've got to then change. We'll just append hook as a suffix to all the. And then in this. Well, I thought yeah, so my hook is listed in whack hooks. Hold on, let me find whatever I'm looking at here. So here we are in whack hooks. Towards the bottom, I've got my stuff. At the very bottom, I've got AI train unit hook and set build HP gain hook. Right? Oh. Am I referencing? So in librs, I'm initializing. Oh, okay, I see. I thought I was referencing. I thought the first thing here was going to be a reference to the original function, but it's actually a reference to the modrs hook file, and it's assigning. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So in this case, I should be doing this. So I'm assigning the value of hooks AI train unit hook to Brood War AI train unit hook so that that works out. Right? Question mark? So in that case, there was some other area where I thought I needed to initialize this. I don't remember. Okay. Oh yeah, can you send me a link to the IDA that you found that has that ray scan thing that translates everything into pseudocode? Because I feel like that would be pretty useful. Oh, okay, thanks. Even better. In the meantime, I guess I can get started on turn basic. I'm pretty sure. What's up, Mutas? Welcome. Just being impressed by humans. Hell yeah. I'm pretty good. Gonna be throwing a football around later with my brother. Don't know why I turned into a southerner when I said that. It's a classic American pastime. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting out of the house, you know. I'm also going to be making a couple videos later today when I get back. Yeah, gross. Also, my brother and I have been playing this game, Divinity Original Sin, and I'm honestly very shocked at how poorly paced the game is, and how buggy it is. Like, we're playing it on a console, which probably doesn't help. But either it's really, really buggy, or a lot of stuff just isn't explained. Like, the turn counter at the top doesn't actually update all the time. So at least once per battle, it will be off. Like, it'll say it's one of our party members' turns, and it's like one of the enemy's turns. And it just gets stuck on that. And usually when it's broken, it never repairs itself until maybe if you like kill somebody or something. And then the other thing is that's really just, it seems like you have to look up on a wiki or something, is related to how the game works on like just how the turns work, where sometimes it'll just shuffle your turn around for seemingly no reason. I don't know if that's related to status effects or something, but I don't think that's a bug. That's probably just a mechanic I don't understand. But it is really strange to me. I don't get it. So that's been my my journey. What are CRPGs? That probably tells you I don't, whatever they are. All right, Iquare, thank you. Oh, character RPGs. I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate back in the day. I mean, who hasn't? Basically, anybody who had a console, I'm pretty sure, had that game at some point. Like one of the older consoles, like the original Xbox. I've heard Pillars of Eternity has a lot of content. Like, my biggest problem with all those games is that they just seem to waste your time a lot. I think I played Icewind Dale. I at least read the books. But I don't know if I played it. Yeah, so like with one of the most startling revelations about Divinity is the poor pacing, where they have you walk around at a snail's pace when all you're doing is like going from one character to another. And yeah, you can sort of cheat around with that by messing around with like the teleportation stone system where it teleports you to your other character or whatever. If you like unchain and then change different characters, like so one of them's always in the town or something like that, I guess you could do that. I don't even know, that might not be a co-op only thing anyway. I don't even know if that's a single player item that you get from traveling to the fucking void or whatever happens. Whatever stupid cliche shit happens that is then just glossed over after the fact. But it's really bizarre. The whole thing is just bizarre to me. And I really don't like how slow you move in that game. Yeah, okay, well that's... I mean, again, it's a really stupid system, but at least there's some way for you to temper how much grind and how much boredom you have to suffer through. I think the other problem that game has is that it's very feast or famine. Like, we've had maybe one fight that took actual strategy to resolve. And we are not super far into the game, but we've discovered the boss of, like, the first area, which is that Skeleton King guy who comes back and gets revived. So we've killed, like, Evelyn, the sorceress who is helping to summon him, that is, like, posing as some aid to a wizard. And then... there was something else that was related to that. I don't know, there's just, like, so much shit where you, like, we've slogged through all this stuff, and either we die in one hit, basically. Like, either the game is over in one turn of the enemies. Like, we're half a turn. Like, we haven't even gone yet. Or the game is over for our favor because we can, like, stun lock everybody. Like, get everybody stunned or status affected in our only turn, like, in our first turn. And then at that point, it's just, like, keeping up the pressure with the number of status effects we have. And so, I don't know if that's, like, a common flaw with the game or if we're, quote-unquote, playing the game wrong. But it really feels like if you have any status effects applied to you at all, like, well, any number of them. Like, you can kind of cleanse some of them, but if you have any of them, then you're fucked. And we also were not able to find any area that was at our level. It was always, like, 1 or 2 levels above where we were in the game. And so that might also be just us playing the game wrong by not being familiar with the game. But it's so punishing to walk around trying to find stuff because you move so slow. So we of course, had no interest in that. We just picked a fight with whatever came our way. Like, I think we're level 7 now, and we're already at that Brachus, I think is his name, the Skeleton King guy, and I don't know what level he is. I didn't even bother looking. We just loaded out after that fight and said, fuck that. I don't know what level we're supposed to be, but... I should actually play I should probably play, like, some of the older ones of that game, but that's a genre I have not gotten into at all. I generally avoid turn-based stuff just because for me it's like the whole time-sensitive approach to real-time combat and real-time games in general is what makes it more exciting to me. The fact that I have to manage all of these things at once. Turn-based requires... Well, in order for turn-based to be challenging in a fair way, you really need to, like, be able to read the game, to communicate your ideas clearly as a developer, and to go from that, and as well as, like, offering enough tools that multiple different players can try to do a bunch of different things. I like the fact that you can combine elemental hazards like water and lightning to stun, or oil and fire to light people on fire. That's probably not revolutionary, I would guess, but it's the first game that I've played in a turn-based genre that does that. That's at least cool. It's not really played up that well, and when it is played up a lot with a lot of environmental hazards, there's like an area in front of a church where you walk up and there's fire everywhere, and some guy summons like a legion of explosive guys, and the only reason we were able to win that fight is because the dialogue event locked up one of our team, like two of our characters, because we're playing co-op and we have a party of 4. And so the second, I was the one who wasn't locked up, and I had a guy who could teleport people, and so I just walked into it relative safety, unknowing that it was going to be relatively safe by comparison. My brother's stuff just got a bunch of exploding guys summoned around him, and I just teleported one of them into the other, and they all chain reacted and blew up, and the battle was over in one turn. And that's just psychotic. It cost us 2 resurrection scrolls, but like it's just dumb. It's like a stupid gotcha. It's like, okay, I guess I have to reload now if I'm playing single player. Like, what the fuck? So that's just like, I don't know how they get away with stuff like that. But I don't even, is Divinity Original Sin even the first one? I thought there were like 3 or 4 of these games now. Like, I don't know how they could even get away with that in the first place. And thank you, Veek, for the stuff. I'll take a look at it. What's up, Alexander? Welcome. I kind of assumed that Divinity... Well, I know there's Divine Divinity, which I assume is linked, but I don't actually know. Plot-driven approach to story design. Yeah, I was talking about this earlier when we were first referenced. I think this was like 2 streams ago now, when I was talking about different styles of storytelling. You have plot-driven storytelling is basically like events are happening around the characters, and we are using the characters as a vehicle to experience those events. It's not really like a hard and fast definition. It's very rare that you'll find entirely character-driven or entirely plot-driven elements of a story. Like, it's more... the example that I gave was horror movies, because in horror movies, there's just like some threat happens. Or disaster movies or something. It's like something is happening that no character can control. We're just dealing with the repercussions, and we're reacting based on whatever these characters are like. And good horror movies allow you to relate to the characters who are there and thinking like, oh yeah, I would probably make similar decisions, like the original Alien movie or whatever. It's like untold fucking cosmic horrors that we have to deal with. And so we're just getting rid of them, like reacting. I guess the original Mist movie is kind of like that, back in the, I think it was the 80s or something, or 90s. When that one was made. And yeah, that I would view those as like plot-driven movies, because the characters themselves do have some agency and they do have some tools at their disposal, but really their journey is to expose the audience to whatever setting and whatever plot is happening, as well as maybe to study, like, maybe this is what how humans react under these circumstances or something like that. That's kind of centerpiece in a lot of the in the plot-driven horror movies or whatever. But the thing about horror movies is that very, very rarely will you see many surviving characters, and despite the fact that there's like fucking a million Freddy movies and Jason movies and whatever else, Halloween movies and stuff. Scream has a series of movies as well. Like there's all that stuff, but most of the time, characters don't survive, or there's a huge number of new characters after the fact. So, yeah, I don't know. It's, there's not really a whole lot of situations where you'd be describing those things as a character study, where we're taking a long look at one character. It's usually like, here's some sick situation that they're in, like the fucking those torture porn films. I forget what they're called. Saw, the Saw series. That's what they are. Yeah, that sounds pretty epic, Mutas, doesn't it? It's pretty similar to it. Like, I mean, every fight that's killed us or posed a significant threat to us has basically started like that. Like, you can't really... It's a lot of trial and error, and it's a game that takes a long time to load, and a long time to set up, and a long time to get it places. It takes a long fucking... It takes like 30 seconds to save. Like, this is a game with a lot of loading times and stuff. And so, when you have to do so much trial and error in order to find solutions to stuff, and it's not because, like, they outwitted you, I guess my biggest complaint about the game is that for trying to be an RPG, it makes way too much use, or expects way too much save scumming from the player. So. How would a plot-driven story look like in an RTS context? I'm not sure you can do a plot-driven story without, well, your plot would have to be designed for the sake of an RTS. Which kind of goes without saying. But basically, you'd have to have a situation where, like, the invasion of a planet by other aliens or whatever is a kind of a plot-driven story where the characters can't really drive back the aliens, they just have to evacuate or something. Or even if they could drive back the aliens, it would be like, oh, we drove them back from here, but they're still swooping through the rest of the colonies, and we got to evacuate and leave. Like, at the end of the day, it still results in us leaving or something. So you could do something like that, where you go on a series of missions to try to drive back aliens that are invading. The thing is, like, with... One of the hallmarks of plot-driven narratives are that the characters within those narratives have very limited agency, and thus they are less interesting, basically. Like, they have less freedom to be interesting, because if you have more agency, you have more decisions you can make, and thus the decisions that you do make have more consequence. It's like if you're choosing to do 1 of 10 things versus 1 in 1,000 things, or 1 in 3 things instead of 1 in 1 things. Like, if you only have one choice, then it's not a very interesting choice. So we talk about that in the gameplay context. If you reduce the amount of choices that the player can use, you're reducing the opportunity for them to express their personality. They can really only express their personality much smaller tidbits. So, for example, if I'm a micro-focused player, but I have to play a lot of macro-focused stuff, or vice versa, then I can really only show, like, oh, yeah, I've got to slam out 1,000 units to win because I'm Zerg. I can really only show my propensity for micro in different ways than maybe I would be able to in a different context. It's kind of a clunky example, but hopefully it illustrates the point. It's kind of similar for characters. When a character doesn't have that many choices to make, beyond the ones that would obviously end in death or defeat or whatever, in a narrative, then they can only express themselves in so many ways, and they can really only be communicated as being so interesting, right? There's a cap on how interesting they can be communicated to be. And that's based on execution and writing and a bunch of other stuff. But in that sense, so the hallmark of the plot-driven story is that the plot is happening regardless of what the character does. So we're really just here to be along for the ride through the plot, as well as learning what this character will do now that the plot is the way that it is, as opposed to the character having a direct impact on the plot. What's up, roller skates? Yeah, well, actually, Alexander, that is a point that I wanted to make regarding this character RPG that we've been talking about, Divinity Original Sin, is that in order, like, there's not really a way to lose without having to reload. And in RTS, that's also the case. But in an RPG, it doesn't have to be the case. Like, there could be a way that you retreat, but like one of the first acquaintances you get, one of the first character party members that you get in that game doesn't have the ability to retreat because they have a specific trait that makes it impossible for them to retreat. Which basically means, like, in the early game when you need as many characters as you can get, then you're basically not ever going to be retreating. So it's pretty flawed in that sense, even though there is a retreat mechanic in theory. So you always have to win every battle that you're in there, too. I think an RTS story can have some sort of change based in that if you really wanted to, but I also think that RTSs don't need that because they're insular. They're based on, like, level-to-level interactions. So level 1 versus level 2 versus level 3. It's not like a seamless transitionary phase where you're walking through an entire world in the way that you are with an RPG or an FPS in some cases. If it's not segmented into stages, then there is no justification for you always having to win every encounter. Well, the justification would come from, like, your character dies. But if you can find a way around that to still make sense within the story or whatever, I think that would be fine. The problem when you have a situation like in Divinity Original Sin is that it just becomes frustrating when you have to constantly reload because of some factor you could not have researched. Like, I've got Lore Master 5 on one of my party members because of all of the gear he has. And all he can do is find out what, well, maybe there's an info button, actually. I might have to check that next time we play. But I'm pretty sure all he can do is find out what health the enemy has. Not like what abilities they can cast or anything like that. And even then, the longer it takes between actions, i.e. the longer we sit there reading and considering our options and looking at data, the less it becomes an RTS, a real-time experience, which means that the less interested I am in it. Which is more of a subjective thing, I guess. Like, obviously some people prefer turn-based stuff. But, so that's not really as much of a complaint about it. Yeah, I mean, the problem is that you would have to have some sort of, like, moving story where you expressly... When you're making something that is not linear in that sense, with the way that the progression goes, like if you have dynamic progression or non-linear progression, then your story balloons in terms of the responsibility you have to write dialogue that still reflects what's going on, and to write characters that can reasonably adapt and feel realistic given those situations, which is a concern you don't have if your story progression is linear. So yes, it is definitely difficult to incorporate. I would say downright impossible to incorporate given our current limitations. We would need to literally simulate character responses for every single potential example, or every single permutation. And the mechanism by which you do that is not... It's just, like, not reasonable whatsoever. Well, yeah, you would have to be able to, like, oh, I move this and then my opponent does something else or whatever. Yeah, Baldur's Gate allows you to be playing in real time, right? Or is it more like Coder? I don't remember. Well, Divinity's Original Sin 1 has been doing that to us all day since, like, the time we played it. There's at least one time per playthrough, per play session that we die for no reason. There was some really epic moment where I threw a water barrel into, or I threw something onto a mine and detonated it, and then I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing, and then walked into a room and it just immediately detonated a different mine that I didn't see, and the entire fucking house basically blew up and turned into fire, and then we lost at least half of our health on all 4 party members. My brother was too busy laughing to heal, so I had to do all the healing. That was a good part. Good part. I think if it was in real time, I mean, for one, you wouldn't be able to control your other party members. You would just have to control yourself. And there would have to be some reasonable AI associated with your allies. I think Coder has that. I mean, I think Coder has the option for you to let your AI allies take their own control into their own hands. So that you can only need to worry about managing yourself. I don't really remember. It's been so long since I played that game. But that would be... I think that would be good. Like, that would be better just because of the fact that you can take more responsibility for your stuff. And anytime you have to deal with cooldowns as a way to balance a game, you're just dealing with, like, straight up shit. Like, we have some really powerful skills, and they're only on cooldowns because they're that powerful. And they could have been made to have no cooldown and be more based in reasonability. But the other thing that RPGs have a lot of is RNG. And when you have RNG and cooldowns and, like, bizarre shit controlling who goes next and all of these other components, I don't care if your game is turn-based or real-time, it's not going to be good. If I have a chance to miss on every attack, like, the number of times that my brother has, like, 89% chance to hit and he misses has actually been insane. It's, like, at least a third of the time, I'm pretty sure, that he's attacked, he's missed. And he's always had, like, around 70-80%. So... it's probably not that far off of what the actual percentage is, but it feels so shitty. Like, what decision are you supposed to make instead of attacking? Like, it's not like you can do anything to circumvent the RNG. So, yeah, that's my complaint. Welcome back with ramen. I don't even know what Death Fog is. I hope I don't have to discover it later. I don't know how to do less than in Rust. In Rust? Yeah, that's what I did. I just wasn't sure if that was real. I'm not sure how to make it so that it returns back and does the same calculation. What, you mean like this? Reasonable. Is Divinity Original Sin 2 more of the same when it comes to how much stupid shit you have to put up with, as far as like, oh yeah, we just expect you to constantly save scum? I hate save loading. Like, I hate save scumming in every game. It feels so cheap. It sucks all of the achievement out of it. It just becomes like a Simon Says mixed with RNG, so even if you do the right Simon Says, you still might lose because RNG. Oh, great. Glad that there's a cutscene that kills you too. It's not even like you died because you deserved it. I didn't say it wasn't a good option. It just limits your... Like, I wasn't making a qualitative assessment when I said that characters are going to be... They have less potential to be interesting. You may not actually want to have super interesting characters, but you can still have, like, archetypes or, like, cliches or, like, a character trope of some kind. Like, you can have the no-nonsense admiral, or the barking drill sergeant, like out of Full Metal Alchemist, or Full Metal Jacket, sorry. I was like, Alchemist, that doesn't sound right. Isn't that an anime? You can have stuff like that. Like, you can have tropes of characters that are easy to pigeonhole and easy to understand. And then you know, from there you can elaborate based on that. You can be like, all right, well, here's my character. They're very easy to understand and relate to. You might roll your eyes because they're kind of cliche or whatever, but I've got a little bit of opportunity to make them behave like a real person and thus not like a super generic individual within the confines of my plot-driven story. It also will help you as a writer, because you'll kind of know what a character like that might do based on your experience with tropes like that in the past. Or like if you've got a no-nonsense admiral in your story, or a no-nonsense commander of some kind, right? You can just be like, all right, well, this guy is going to be like all about trying to do the mission, even if it's really bleak. Like, even if they go here and, like Alien, they find something horrifying that completely destroys them, or they're simply not equipped to deal with. Whatever their mission was to do something there can still be, potentially completed, and that's what that guy's goal is going to be. Whereas maybe some of his crew, some of his soldiers are not going to be so keen on that, and maybe there's some interplay between them, some conflict within the humans' side of things. Like, you can do stuff like that. Yeah, the environmental hazards in that game seem to make it so that you're basically fucked if you're melee. Because we've got 2 melees and then a mage and a ranger in our party. I'm one of the melees, like my actual character is one of the melees. And it's pretty dumb. Well, AI Guardians just walk into it, so it's fine. Yeah, I have like a ram spell that knocks people down that can go through people, and then I have a Sky Fist ability that just destroys them. So, well, it's not every single time that they do that, but a lot of the time, if it's Guardians will just like push each other into the cannon range or turret range, and you can just like pull them in with like a zealot or something. They'll chase the zealot instead of retargeting to the cannon. Oh, so you were trying to be a melee mage, basically? Is that what you mean? Yeah, I should be able to do some AI work. At this point, there's really not that much left to do for the AI, unfortunately, because the change. I can test them out in single player to make sure that they seem to work properly, or like 1v1 or whatever. But unfortunately, because of the script variables are not player specific, they're global. Sorry, my wire gets stuck. Because script variables are the way that they are, it's just not possible to have multiple of them running it at the same time. Oh, it's not a game that I would continue playing. Like, I say this all the time, but there's a lot of games out there, or custom content, where if I was not... Like, there's something external to the act of playing it that is keeping me playing it. In that case, it's just playing something with my brother, where we have a good laugh at the expense of the game, and it's something to play in co-op. But in most cases, it's like, oh, I have a record button being pushed on OBS, or a stream button or something, and like that's why I'm playing it. There's something external to the actual act of playing it that's justifying my time. Otherwise, it would definitely be a giant waste of my time. So, Veek, I got a question for you regarding Rust. So, in block 2 here, with EAX plus equals 4, and then another if statement, this if statement is basically just jumping back to where it says block 1 over here. And I don't know how to make it so that it returns back to that to do more calculations. Yeah, but how would I structure that in Rust is what I mean. I've never written a loop before anyway. So. I've only written AI script and assembly loops, not not C++ or Rust loops. So I have no idea how that works. Oh, okay. Yeah, but this is a logic puzzle, man. So I guess I need to have a different variable for the loop. Oh, what are these PyAI changes anyway? You said you sent a more polished version. I just grabbed it. Oh, nice. Always good to have such bugs fixed. Can't believe somebody used Mega and purchased it. Purchased something from Mega and then sent, like, posted that I was the referral. What a lunatic. Well, no, I don't need that to be the case, like, while EAX is greater than that or whatever. I don't think so. Because it needs to go back to block 1, which just compares EAX to 0. So I need to have the while... Oh, this is a different version of the same thing. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Pay no attention. See what's happening. Alright, so what am I looking at here? I'm going to the same address. Oh. There we go. You finished college, congrats. Well, it looks like I was doing it completely wrong, as expected. Hold on. Apparently there's an EAX for this. Yeah, this one says that it has an EDI, an ECX, and an EAX. So if I go to ModRS here and I find my shit, didn't I just find something like this? Or make something like this? So this would be So would this be correct? Is that EAX int? It says signed int result. Oh, that's a definition of a... That's what it returns. So we don't need that. Do I actually have to define that, or can I just do that? Also, can I write in hex, by the way? Can I write numbers in hex, or so do I have to do like 0x or something? This does make it a lot easier, though, I will say. Oh, it's not while, it's for. Oh. Are you sure? This function returns 4, so it should only have one stack argument, which I guess would be the int. Well, in assembly it says return 4, so I assume that means it only has one stack. One stack argument. And it says EDI, ECX, and EAX in all of these. But I guess you mean that over here it would say, because the int A1, int A2, C unit mem. Oh, so A2 is argument 2. Not A2 the number. It's me being a dummy. How do we do this over here? Oh, okay. I guess I didn't see that. But there's only one argument from that, though, is what I'm saying. So it can't be that it has 3 stack arguments or 2 stack arguments. I don't... What? I like when you tell me to remember stuff that I never knew in the first place. That is pretty good. So does return 4 not mean that it has one stack argument? It means something completely different? Because that's what I was using as a way to figure this out. Do I need to put the registers in front of the arguments? Or just the arguments in reverse order? And also in hooks, do I need to list them in reverse order in the ORIG? That would just mean moving the U32 and the C void. Now, Veek, you said for I in 0.10. Not sure how I would adapt that kind of syntax over here, but... Yeah, I picked a great thing to try to immediately do. Wait, what? All right, sleep well, roller skates. Thanks for hanging out. Oh wait, I have to return results specifically. All right, I'll be right back at this function in a moment after I use the bathroom. Yeah, good timing there. Fan gaming facts, welcome. I'm back. A1 is ECX, A2 is EDX, and unit is... So... Wouldn't that mean that there is still only one stack argument? And the other two are just registers? Which is what I was saying earlier? Or am I missing something obvious? Okay, that's what I've been saying this entire time. So, glad we're glad we're on the same page now. Look at what? Yeah, you said what over here on in function declaration. Yeah, ECX, EDX. Yeah. So these two I should pass with at ECX and at EDX in modrs. So I should do and then in hooks, I can do that over here. I don't even know what this is used for. Oh. Okay. So now in modrs, I have to find funks or something. I have to find the check unit dat requirements or whatever it is. There's no results in here or in here. I don't think there would be results in there. So I have to write this in for in whack funks. Oh yeah, because unit IDs are the U32s as well. So this is in reverse order from what Knave's list is listing them as. That's how I should be doing it for all of them, right? In Mod RS, I should be listing them in reverse order. And in Hooks RS, I should be writing them in reverse order in the arig function as well. That's what I'm in. Why funks? Oh yeah. This is in reverse order. I think. U32 for unit ID, ESI. Although you don't at EDI this, so I don't know if that's right. Oh wait, no. So you don't. There's nothing here for that. No. Probably because it wasn't necessary. Anyway, yeah, it looks like these are listed in the same order that they are here, so this has... So I shouldn't be doing it in that sense. So where do I need to write it such that it's in reverse then? I'm really confused about that. Enjoy the dogs in the background. Oh, when I'm calling in here, this is where it needs to be in reverse order. I get you. So we have to pass the first thing that we should pass is the unit parent, then the unit ID, then the player ID. In this example, they're passing... I guess the unit ID is the SCV? And the parent is the unit that would be built that we're checking the availability of. So we should do... I guess this is where I can just copy the... Yeah, I was just talking about that. Well, all the way at the beginning of the stream when I was explaining to Kian the purpose behind something like this, or what we might end up doing is we would probably end up making it a config option and then like adding a class for each type of building, basic and advanced, for each race or whatever. And so you would be able to flag unit IDs as having that in the config, and then we would replace it with this. But yeah, right now I'm just gonna mirror the exact functionality, and then we can modify that from there. I'm assuming this pillbox. It's Barrett bunker rather. Well, I just mean using the config option that you were talking about. We can set like a class of unit IDs to basic, and then we can check the config. We can have like an if check, basically, like if, like we could write right here, we could do like if config custom buttons cond, and well, we would probably just do that, and then we would read from that category. So what I have to do now is I have to figure out how to define local selection, or local selection group, I think it is. Oh no, local selected unit count. What do you do for working? Oh yeah, I think you told me that, right? Doing like fraud, waste, and abuse or something like that for insurance. Or you're investigating like healthcare stuff. It's pretty sad stuff. Pretty in-depth stuff. Can't help you there, man. So yeah, I've got to do two things. I've got to define local selected unit count and pgame screen info. I don't suppose I would be able to... No. Can't really find anything there, unfortunately. Exclusive Deep Seeker, hell yeah, dude. Welcome back to Mixer, how are you? You're adding to the diversity of the stream right now, thank you. Thank you for keeping us at 3 different stream sources. Why do you have to do that for? Yeah, Mixplay is only on for gameplay streams, which we don't have a lot of these days. Oh, cool. There's Starcraft School. Three, of course. Hello, Gino54, Gino J. I don't know what your name is, dude, but welcome. Oh, that's my keyboard, not my mouse. By dashboard, you mean like streaming dashboard? I think they recently overhauled everything, but I'm not actually sure about that one. Anyway, I feel like I'm kind of at my limitation there right now. Anyway, not sure what to do about that. Oh, I can close that. Cool. I had my document full of CS:GO maps. To investigate for reviews. Alright, so we'll save this, come back to that later. Throughout the day or whatever. Alright, so I'm thinking at this point, we should probably boot up a an OBS match or something. Magmaticus, by the way. I think there actually was a version of, maybe it was Vizergo too, that had, oh, I guess not. I thought there was a version of one of these maps that I slapped the Terran AI on. I guess not. Oh, you know what? I think I have to, actually, I think I just have to outright replace this. Right. So it looks like what I opted to do here was just to, I radically changed the map for one, but I also made some fairly significant changes to the starting units, as you can see. And the resources were stabilized across all expansions. I also reworked this area. This map will be fairly strange because it's almost a straightforward 2v2, unlike the previous map, except the Terrans are there. Yeah, eventually, actually I've got a real man, working on ramps so that I can replace this fucking disaster. And then this very obvious placeholder disaster. As well as, wait for it, this disaster. So that's very epic. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm really proud of how the the elevated catwalk in space turned out. Obviously, I still have to get a proper cliff so that it doesn't look like it's just floating there. It's gonna have like a sort of similar to what I did with the asteroid cliff over here, which obviously needs some touching up as well. There's going to be something similar to that, where it just sort of fades off into oblivion, more or less. Just so that there's like some sense that, oh, it extends further down. Just gonna clean this up real quick. The player will not have hunter-killers, but this is the mission that will introduce aberrants. If I might decide to introduce them earlier, but yeah, the starting assets of the players will be relatively small, and that's it. But that's true for all of the maps so far. Eventually we'll have tiles for these pipes that blend on the other side. These are reconstructed from the beta by the same guy who's doing the art for the ramps. And eventually we'll have ways to interconnect them all and have corner pieces and all that. I actually thought that we already had those at some point, but I do not see them in my tile set here. Wow, this tile set was clearly made in days of antiquity, man. Holy moly. Well, no, I meant I'm looking through like the custom tiles, and I imported them in really stupid ways, basically. Thinking that thin pipe doesn't really work there. We'll do that instead. Just a little bit of decor. Nothing crazy. At some point I'll even blend them into the dirt cliff here, the asteroid cliff that you see. But I'll probably also end up making it so that they seem like obscured. Like I'll have an area over here that has a pipe that just runs underneath seems to run underneath this. Let's see what happens later. But there's all sorts of like interesting visuals that I want to mess around with. Okay. So Veek has messed around with... Oh, didn't mean to run that. Veek has messed around with PyAI recently. I just want to pop in here and see what settings we have. Manage PyAI settings. There we go. And yeah, thanks. There you go. I have to go find. Here we go. Alright, so that means we're going to have to restart this program. That's okay. Not too big a deal. I think there's some pretty interesting battlegrounds in this map, generally speaking, but I do wonder, it definitely feels like it needs more testing. I do wonder if it's really that reasonable. I think one of the big issues is a general lack of... Like, the islands feel thrown in at the last minute, if you know what I mean. Like, I almost feel like maybe they shouldn't... Some of them shouldn't be islands. Oops, I didn't mean it. Just copy and paste. And maybe some of them are fine to remain islands, but I feel like maybe behind the two starting... Well, I guess the only islands that exist are all behind starting locations of players. And I was just thinking that, like, this base is clearly a better option for early aggression on both the Zerg and the Protoss's part, but it might open up some more reliable strategies if they didn't have to deliberately tech into transports in order to get to a safer expansion that happens to be less yield and have less terrain as an option for them to claim resources. I'm also pretty sure I'm going to make Elevated Catwalk unbuildable, just because right now it's being used as a connector piece surrounding, and that's probably how all the Hydra tile set maps are going to be. Maybe I'll make a separate set of tiles that are unbuildable. Then it feels really weird if the Elevated Catwalk is in the middle of the map and buildable. But yeah, I'm not sure. Thanks for that quick change, Veek. I'm gonna go test it out now. Yeah, no kidding. Well, the AI isn't functioning right now anyway, but it's still yelling at me. What else did he add? I don't think he added anything. Did you make sure to look through everything? Let's see. Maybe I didn't send you the latest AI bin that he sent me, but I'm pretty sure he only sent one. I'm glad somebody's revving their engine right outside my house. Added new flags with multi. Works only with bring jump. Haven't tested. I wouldn't... Honestly, if my program started spouting off that instead of actually giving me useful errors, I would not be surprised. In the meantime, we get to go hunting through the assembly for a little bit. That was a simple job. I'm not loading default AI scripts. I'm loading Hydra's AI scripts. Can you check your implementation of var and see if there's any difference there? He modified var recently. Well, that's a script condition, so I don't think that would matter anyway. I'm asking. Icor's back now, so I just asked him to send the latest one to you. I don't know if it's a U8 or not. I'm not even really sure how to check that, to be honest. Oh, it says void. In the previous map that I had open, yeah, this is Nightlands. It has installation tiles in it. Earlier in the year, I made a map that was almost entirely Badlands. I mean, installation within Badlands. You started out in a natural environment, and then everywhere else, literally the entire surrounding of the map was installation. It's another deerfucker map. Deerfucker is just a series of maps. It's like a mission set, basically, as a scenario pack, or it will be. It's more like sort of the Saga of the Zitzen stuff, but obviously to a much higher standard of production. I'm never reinstalling Remastered. But I do play Melee-style gameplay sometimes. I mostly play it in Hydra's game state. But it does happen from time to time. It uses Chrome. That's reason enough, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Icor might be wrapped up in the middle of something else. I just wait until he DMs me about stuff, and then I go back to working with just programming. And then in between that, we find our own way. We find other things to mess around with. I'm still going to be, at some point, trying to work with this. There's not really much left to do, like I was saying earlier. I forget what it's actually called. Well, I mean, even though I've only been working on this for like, I think I've been working within Rust as with this specifically, and for like maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. I feel pretty good about my understanding of it. Not that I'm not confident enough to just shit out code after code, function after function, but way I'm impressed at how far back I was able to pull the curtains, basically. And then as long as we have this Hexray IDA that shits out C pseudocode that I can then translate into Rust, we'll be in business for a while, I think. And as I get better with it and more familiar with it, it'll be even easier. I am worried about this. This address for game screen info, though. Okay, epic. Oops. It's not even the right function. I don't know what's going on there. Oh boy, Iquare's melting my brain again. God damn it. Oh, I know what you mean. They're slim pickings. I've literally had to make my own game state in order to play the game, so. I don't expect anybody to uninstall Remastered unless they are a developer or there is sufficient content outside of Remastered to play. So we would basically need to create some sort of infrastructure with like a different way to connect games so that you didn't have to forward your ports in order to play. And then from there, we could go on to obviously generating enough content such that we have enough melee maps and melee AI and scenarios and all that stuff that you would need to facilitate a lot of people playing. Maybe that'll happen at some point. I already have some people who have put together basically the same network that runs like Mental Omega multiplayer servers for Red Alert 2. It's a Red Alert 2 mod. Those same people are open to people from Brood War coming in, and I guess they've already figured out how to run a server for Brood War as well on the side anyway. Well, they figured it out for Warcraft too, but it's the same architecture, I guess, on the network side. So in theory, we have the potential for that sort of thing, but we would definitely need some more. I would rather not jump the gun and try to get that done before we have the content that people would want to play. So once we have the content, maybe then we can build some sort of infrastructure. It'll be a while. It's already been a while, but it'll be another while. Eventually, we'll get there. I mean, the end goal is years from now to have my own RTS game. So I don't know how long that will take. You know, I'm already 25. That's probably another 5-year journey. But I'm in it for the long haul. That's what I'm passionate about. So that's what I'm doing. Well, I don't know what your age is, but I think gone are the days where people assume I'm younger than I am. Most people probably just... At least I've noticed that I seem to be looking older these days. Which is not really a negative thing. Nor is it really a positive thing. It's just a thing. It's also weird, though, because I've always thought of myself as like a kid, basically, so... Yeah, probably. Oh, loop does that automatically. Okay. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't eat at McDonald's anymore. But holy moly, I don't think I've eaten McDonald's for like 6 years now. But there's plenty of other shit that you can eat that will make you shit. Also, Iquare, you still didn't send Veek his AI bin, or your AI bin. I can't open my scripts until you do that. Did you add anything besides at least, at most, and exactly multi? Yeah, now we're getting into actual programming territory and my incompetence is being exposed. I guess my ignorance, really. Nope. Still does not work. I guess you should add all of your changes to his AI bin instead of adding his changes to yours. Well, I was using his and it was working fine. That's what I mean. What the fuck? Well, I'm at a fucking loss then. It doesn't work with his either now. That's pretty epic. You know what that means? Thanks. You overwrote the open... the edit AI script. I just suppressed these. Yeah, you overwrote the hotkey for that. For actually opening the AI. Oh, I guess I should have saved that as. I knew it. Yeah, you fucked something up big time. I just saved those and I can't reopen them because they're corrupt. Also, corrupt has 3 R's. Corrupted. Well, you can remove his changes from the AI bin, send that to me, and I'll do the same experiment. But that means that I would have to comment out the multi. Well, it obviously is broken on his AI bin too, but that was after you already made changes to it. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that. What I can do now is just comment out all lines that include multi. Also, your suppressions aren't working. Yeah, it still breaks even without the multis. Let's make sure that I didn't leave any in there. Yeah. That's why I'm guessing it has something to do with your changes. Ah, still broken. With the latest AI bin you sent me. I'm glad it's still broken. The searching. Very strange stuff. I wonder, can I build the plugin with this? I don't suppose so. Doesn't look like it. Oops. Nice. Hey Vic, do you happen to know how to force Visual Studio to recheck its warnings? I thought maybe refresh would do it, but does not appear to be the case. All right. Should be good there. Unfortunately, it seems our ability to mess around with the AI has been kneecapped a little bit. But presumably that will be resolved sooner rather than later, and I'll be able to get back to other stuff. We appreciate your help, Veek. Thank you very much. All right, so I think we'll call it quits there for today. Just about 3 hours. I got some content to make. I got some outside to go out into. That was me waving. What do you mean? Yes, it corrupts with iQuere's changes to your AI bin. Yes. But it was always a change to your AI bin. The one thing I can do before I go is I can... I already did check iQuere's if this is the same one that I sent you. So I'm not going to be done with that. So I can go all the way up to when I sent you one before he modified it to add multi. Okay. So now I'm looking at a version that has no iQuere changes. still has some of your changes because those came from elsewhere, I guess. I'm pretty sure this is related to your save utils or something. I don't think it has anything to do with the AI bin. Yeah. Because I was using iQuare's version to close and reopen my stuff for a while. And I was using the version before that, which I have now, to close and reopen for a while. It probably has nothing to do with the AI bin. Pretty sure it has something to do with the other changes to the program. I already checked the one from iQuare. Yeah, so maybe it's a PyAI PYW change. I don't know. Can't tell you. What do you mean there's no change? I'm telling you, I don't think AI bin is the problem. Because I just checked the same exact thing. I checked iQuare's, I checked the one before iQuare's, which was yours. I was using both the one that was before iQuare's and the one that was after iQuare's to open my files all the time. And it was not happening. And I could not have possibly reached the character limit in a blank file. So I don't see how that's possible. I don't know. It doesn't work with any of that. I find it very unlikely that I reach the character limit by adding just a few multi-run things, and it crashes even without them anyway, or rather, it breaks even without them anyway. I don't think there is a reasonable limit now. Alright, let's try that. Oh, because I copy and pasted it. If you're talking about my script files, I will send... I mean, I'm not even... I'm using the default script files and just adding my script. I can also send you that instead if you want. Since it doesn't matter what file it comes from. Oh, wait, I'm a mega prankster. Is what I... That's supposed to be that way. Why is the I don't understand why the problem window isn't actually working properly. Anyway, I'm out of here. I gotta go. I'll be back on my computer in a little bit. Anyway, so I'll still be bothering Anchor for help about this Rust thing. And Veek, let me know if you need anything else. But I'm gonna kill the stream now. Bye-bye!